Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with Ellie Holcomb. Dave.
That's good. Do you like when someone dares you to do something, John? I dare you to answer that.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
You know, I'm not really a big fan of dares.
Okay.
I mean, when I was younger, I'd enjoy a good dare, but these days I'm a little more sensible, you know?
Well, you are in your third quarter now, after all.
That's right. You know, but kids, man, kids love dares.
Love them.
In fact, just the other day, my nephew, he's 10, he had a dare for me.
Okay, what was it?
Well, he dared me to only consume food and drink that was the color orange.
That's pure insanity, John. Did you do it?
I mean, I told him no way. I mean, the options are so limited. You know, you got cheese puffs, orange soda, gummy bears.
Yep, but not all gummy bears.
Right, it's just the orange one.
Yeah.
Right. So I told him no.
Yep,
you know,
that was a good
explicitly.
answer.
And I also added that I think he's crazy.
That's fair, too.
And he said, well, at least I always say yes when your daughters want me to jump on the trampoline with them.
Oh,
which hurt.
Ouch.
Yeah, that hurt.
Well, his dare does raise an interesting hypothetical question, which I've wanted to talk to you about for years. What if everything you ate or drank had to be the same color? What color would you pick?
Oh, that's easy. See, that one's easy.
Okay.
Green.
Why green?
Because, Dave, I
go.
take AG1 by Athletic Greens every morning.
I knew where this was going. I knew it.
Even before I make my coffee, it makes me feel like I could jump on the trampoline all day long, with or without my kids.
There's nothing like solo parent trampolining, John, okay? But if you spend all day jumping on your trampoline, how would you have time to keep up with a supplement, routine, and a bunch of different products to keep track of? How would you do it?
See, that's just it, Dave. AG1, it's just one scoop of powder mixed with cold water once a day.
No. Okay. Yep. At one scoop,
it
has like 6 vitamins, 5.
Oh, Dave.
10.
Try 75, Dave.
That's
75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients of the highest quality.
Okay, this sounds awesome. Like it might be the healthiest thing you can do in under a minute.
Bingo. AG1 gives me increased energy and mood support, even healthier looking skin and hair and nails, Dave. I mean, look at them.
Listen, I would be lying to your face if I said I hadn't noticed that. You look, you're glowing. You are.
Thank you.
Splendid.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
My AG1 is delivered to me every month, so it's been super easy to make it a daily habit. And being on the road is easy too, because they give you single-serving travel packs. I just take them with me.
It sounds and looks like you never miss a day, John.
I never miss a day.
Well, count me in, okay? I'm in.
Okay, people, so Dave and I are in. Are you going to be in?
Do it.
Because if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You can go to 5 different places with them or go to one place 5 different times. Just go to athleticgreens.com/dadville.
That's athleticgreens.com/dadville. Check it out. Ellie, you listen. This is first of all, what we just learned. What John was saying earlier before technological meltdown 2023 was that I cannot believe y'all have not met before.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we've been in the same place many times, but we've never officially met.
That's right.
I think the very first time that we
Sticky
were
Fingers in Arkansas.
Sticky Fingers 2008.
Gosh.
I remember, I think it was 2008 because the Olympics were on at the same time. We did sound check and we went back to our hotel and we were watching Michael Phelps.
That's why we didn't meet. It's all Michael Phelps' fault.
I mean,
not
how
the first
many
time,
things
listen,
can we attribute to Michael Phelps?
Not the first time it's been said on this podcast. And I just want to make that really clearly. Okay, so Ellie, we start each Dadville with what we call the brag sheet. And you have a copious amount of things here we have to sort of get through here. I just want to say one of the things that I like the most about beginning this brag sheet is just a fun fact, and that's that you have a degree in English and an MS in teacher education. And that's just fun to start with because it's fun facts, okay?
That is a fun fact.
Joined Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors in 2005. She loved the band so much that she married Drew in 2006, which I like. I just like how that is. That true? 2006?
Yeah, I would say probably marriage came first and then the band.
What if?
Well, that's not the version we found, Ellie.
What if the whole thing was really just a ruse to get in the band? And you're like,
Yeah.
let me tell you one way to solidify myself, and that is to
You got to tip your hat to that level of passion.
Yeah, I really wanted to become a neighbor. Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors. I wanted to be a neighbor with benefits. So
yeah. Well, you didn't want to be. You weren't satisfied with being a neighbor. You're like, I want to be in the house.
That's right, but I'm a Christian, so I had to get married.
Oh my
Right.
gosh, girl!
That's right.
That just killed me. A neighbor with benefits. That needs to be Drew's. Like that needs to be their highest.
The fan.
Yeah.
Yes, neighbor
with
benefits.
Oh my god.
Gosh.
Drew's about to come.
Early VIP access.
Oh my gosh.
All that.
Okay, so and then released. So we're in the band. Released your first solo EP, Magnolia, in 2011. Your next album, With You Now, was released in 2013 and peaked at number 7 on the Christian Albums chart, which is incredible. Awarded Best
7.
New Artist at Dove Awards in 2014. Second full-length album, Red Sea Road, was released in 2017 and was produced by your dad, which is a whole other thing we could talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The legendary producer, Brown Bannister, who's produced such acts as Michael W. Smith, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Amy Grant, and Dave Barnes. I'm just going to say that. The album also reached number 2 on the Christian music chart, which is incredible. 2018 released a children's album, Sing Creation Songs, in a book called Who Sang the First Song. The latest album was recorded with Drew and is called Coming Home, a collection of songs. Is that true? Why do I feel like there's another album in there?
Canyon. Came before that.
Yeah. Before that. That's right. And then there's a lot of music here, Ellie. It's incredible. Third children's book is Sounding Joy. GMA Dove Award for Children's Album of the Year 2020. Sing Remembering Songs, and GMA Dove Award for Recorded Music Packaging of the Year 2022 with Canyon, which there it is. Yeah. So here's something that I love asking this question anyway, but we ask every time we do the brag sheet. But I especially want to ask you this because there's a pedigree there with your family. Asking you that, like reading those to you now, how would 16, 17-year-old Ellie feel hearing if I read that to her, sort of like, and we, negotiated space-time continuum, and I was able to sit down and be like, let me tell you, this is going to be you, in years ahead. Would she be like, yeah, of course it is? Or would it be like, maybe, or, oh, that's fun, or?
No, I would have been like, nope, you have that all wrong.
Really?
I'm going to be yeah, I really thought I was going to be a teacher, for my whole life. And I swore I'd never marry a musician or be one.
Oh, wow.
So
you do not fulfill your promises.
No, I'm terrible. Yeah, I don't swear that I'm not going to do things. But I love my life, but I really, really did not think that I was going to do music.
Now, what did your mom do? Was she a teacher?
She was not a teacher. Well, she taught us because she was just our mom, mom things.
Sure.
But she was stay-at-home mom, and then she became a photographer when I was in middle school.
I didn't know that.
Was
cool.
Tough because I had to model a lot. And this is the face that I made for her.
Disgust.
Solemn.
Yeah. Listen, you were in the pensive stage, you were just thinking a lot. You were feeling a lot.
Yeah. She did, y'all, though, once make me wear just something ridiculous. First of all, I didn't have a shirt on and overalls. And I'm like, this is that age where it's like, that's
I went through
awkward.
that phase. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she made me wear a turtleneck, but pull it off, but then have the turtleneck still on my head. But then she tied it on the back. So I was pretty mad about that.
She was ahead of her time.
That
didn't really hit
by the
until
picture, y'all.
2017.
She's like, I love that picture of you. And I'm like,
yeah, where are these pictures? Are they all framed in the family den or something?
Oh my gosh.
She did frame one in the family den, and every time I passed it, I turned it down.
Yes, of course you did. 1,000% you did.
Nope.
Okay, so my question to that is obviously you're growing up in a house where your dad is this, very prominent figure in the music space here in Nashville. Are you seeing that and you're like, oh, no, that's not for me. I'm not going to be in that world. I'm going to be a teacher. I want What was it that drew you to being a teacher? No pun intended there. And what pushed you away from the music?
Two things that I knew as a kid. One was that music had the power. Like I heard Dad tell stories of music bringing hope to people. I mean, like saving people's lives. So I like loved music, and I knew that it was like a powerful tool. But then I think the other thing I learned is that doing music for a living costs you something.
Whoa.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
it just, I'm still 0% enamored with fame. Like, I'm like, no, thank you. Watching people be famous as a kid felt to me like watching people be in prison. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. You like can't go anywhere without people stopping you, you know? So
Holy cow.
I just like didn't really want that at all. But I loved music and knew I was, you know, that's how I like making music feels like breathing to me. It's like a way to process and grieve and rejoice and all of that. So I always knew I would write music. I just never thought I would play it for anybody but like my students. And then I had amazing teachers who just spoke life into me. And I was like, I want to be somebody who makes people come alive.
Okay, so when you are walking down the street here in Nashville and someone comes up to you and, you know, is shaking, tears in their eyes, all that kind of stuff, what is it that you're experiencing there? Are you like uncomfortable? How do you handle those moments now?
Yeah, because sometimes people are pretty nervous and they're like, hi. And then I just say, I'm so normal. I'm just like you. You matter just as much. It's like, I'm just like, tell me your story. And I did get to see Amy Grant, like growing up. I grew up watching her. And my mom was always pointing out to me that Amy Grant is like a there you are person. And y'all know Amy. And she is exactly like this. And so mom was always like, I know she's like super famous, but she was like also like my idol as a kid. I mean, I was born in 82. Like every little girl my age wanted to be Amy Grant. And I was like, I know her. Like Santa, I know her. That is how I felt about Amy. And so I like had this like very much like, you know, she was like idol to me, but also I saw her be a very down to earth, grounded person. And I watched her in signing lines, and mom would say, watch what she does. She knows that every person that comes up to her, she knows that what they're just trying to do is tell her a part of their story. They're telling her the story that God's writing in her life and their life, his or her life, whatever. So, and she would just say, oh, thank you. When they tell her that song means something to me, or I love your music, she'll be like, well, tell me about you. How'd you hear it? What's your story? And so I think at a young age, I got to see the way that music is a bridge builder. And I think that's how I view, if somebody ever comes up to me, I just get a chance to enter into somebody else's story. And I love that. And it's what I loved about teaching. You're just entering into other stories. I was an English teacher, so we were reading other stories and seeing how that intersects with our stories and discovering more about ourselves and the world around us. And that is what is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Golly, that was so well said. So what, so growing up in Nashville, I mean, you're kind of a unicorn, you know, that you're from here, and, you know, you've stayed here, you're doing music, which is, you know, like you just did the old Nashville pipeline. You just did it. You just fulfilled the whole thing. What was it like in y'all's house growing up? Like, what is the dynamic of what was the Bannister house like? Because, you know, your dad is, and for those listening who don't know who Brown Bannister is, one, just Google him, but two, really is the most successful Christian producer of all time, and a phenomenally talented human being, and an even more wonderful human being than he is talented, which is really saying something. But you know, and your mom is this, you know, force of personality too. Y'all in Nashville, like you said, you kind of got a foot in sort of celebrity world because of who he's working with, but you're also just kids growing up, going to school, you know, with you and your siblings. What was that like?
Yeah, great. Okay, so this is definitely a massive part of my story and of my dad and I's story, which is so cool. But he really, I mean, you know, this is back in the day when you rented studios for 24 hours at a time, right? And the budgets were crazy. It was the 90s, you know, late 80s, 90s, like people were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to make records, which is hilarious now to think about. But so he would say, if he was on this podcast, like he worked all the time. And this was probably part of the reason that I was like, I don't want to do music. This is hard. Like this takes you away. So we would be, on the one hand, our family, like we grew up writing songs and playing music, and dad would play the piano. So it was a very creative household. My mom has ADD. So do all three of my brothers. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. So it was like not boring at our house. People were literally swinging off the stairs with like bungee cords and rollerblading inside. And it was so fun. Honestly, it was such a fun house to grow up in. And we're writing songs, and if you're writing a song and somebody walks in from soccer practice and they like it, they're like, oh, let me work on that with you. So it was I would say it was collaborative and it was creative.
Wow.
And it was a hub that we had all kinds of kids and neighbors coming in and out. But my dad was not there most of the time. So we would be leaving for school and he'd be coming home, from the studio like early hours in the morning. So, so when I guess I was probably in college when this happened, but mom finally, maybe high school, but mom finally was like, hey, Brown, you gotta come home. Like this is, we've got 5 kids. You're like missing all of it. And so he really and to his credit, he is such an amazing person, amazing producer, incredibly humble human. And we always loved having him around and knew he loved us, but he just wasn't around a lot. And so it has been the most beautiful story. One of the most beautiful stories of my life is getting to see my dad literally do an about face. Like he moved his studio home. He came to every single one of the kids and was like, I have missed it. Please forgive me.
Aww.
I'm so sorry. I love you. I want to be in your life. And has walked that out to the point where, I know that I am not going to be a perfect parent. And I know that I can say I'm sorry to my kids.
Yeah.
And it has given me such freedom, to have seen he and my mom kind of walk that out in front of us.
What was it like being
so
the
beautiful.
oldest of those kids, though? Because you would have probably taken the biggest brunt of that. You know what I mean? Because you were the first.
No, yeah. Well, my mom is a 7. I'm a 7 on the Enneagram as well. And so we're like, we're good. Like, come join the party whenever, Dad. So I really didn't grieve a lot of him missing a lot of our childhood until 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow.
I wrote a record about it, and Canyon kind of leans into that a little bit. Where all of a sudden, when my little girl went to kindergarten, all of a sudden I was like, oh, my dad was not here for any of this. And I just grieved it and really was able to go back to him and to really affirm, Dad, your presence matters. It matters now. Again, for him to just know even at a deeper level. So there's layers of healing, right, that we walked through in our journey. And so it was so, because I think we still were kind of awkward. I don't know. He'd be like, I really want to hang out. And I'd be like, okay, we don't do this very much. So now in the studio we made a lot of music together. And so that has been a beautiful thing. He's worked with me on every record I've ever done. And so that has been a really redemptive part of the thing that kind of took him away. We've done together. So it's like that verse in scripture where the Lord will restore the years that the locusts have eaten. And we have seen that full circle, and then seeing him be this super engaged grandfather with my kids.
Yeah.
It's just so sweet. It's so sweet. It's not too late. It's not ever too late to lean into the reconciliation.
Well, that's the thing that I feel like I think about so much, as much because of this podcast, but also because of just my life. The fact that it isn't ever too late. I mean, I think that it's easy to feel like if you sort of botch some of the things earlier on as a parent, that it's kind of like, well, I had those 18 years to do it right, and then I didn't. But I think the thing that's so fascinating about the way that God made us, and I think this is true of our whole life, like we always want to be close to our parents. And people that are listening to this are like, no, I don't. I'm like, well, it's because we're hurt that you feel that way. But I think if left to your own, if your parent could come sit down with you and say, listen, I've done a lot of things wrong. I love you. I really am sorry. And I want to have a relationship with you. I don't know anybody that would say, I mean, unless there is copious amounts of pain where they felt like it was ingenuine, but otherwise it's just the way God made us. Like we can't.
Well, it's not a relationship that you can walk away from like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be, it might be so complex and wounded that maybe you don't reconcile, but it's not one that is not, you're not going to feel the weight of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's exactly right, y'all. It has been like, and there was a lot of like, we're kind of like through the grieving season, but if you had talked to me, I did one podcast when I was in the middle of this with Ian Crone.
Oh yeah.
So if you'd like to hear the raw version of this, just go listen to that podcast with Drew and I was like, oh yeah, with what is it called? The
path,
I can't remember.
Whatever it is, the something.
Road home.
Road back to you.
The road back to you.
Road back to you.
Yeah.
But I went and was like, oh man, that was very, he was just like pressing and asking all the right questions like he does. And I was like, well, I don't know. So it was really hard work. It was like years of counseling for me to even get to where I could say to my dad, like, I want even more of a relationship with you. I know that we've kind of like been through this, but like your presence matters. And he's a 9 on the Enneagram. And I realized, didn't have it. Hey, buddy, this is Rivers.
Sup, dude?
Look at that gentleman.
Sup, dude?
You say hi.
Hi.
Hey, buddy.
I love you. Are you making a volcano? Yeah, he's making volcanoes.
He is like the greatest hits of you and Drew and one child.
Yeah, he really is.
He's also wearing a Memphis shirt, which would make his dad.
He is wearing a Memphis.
That's a cool shirt.
I love you, Bubba. This is a
sweet.
Memphis. Is this a Memphis record pressing shop shirt?
Oh, nice. That's so Drew.
Yeah. Hey, Rivers, can you just say hi to them really fast?
Hi.
Hey, Rivers.
Can you hear him?
Rivers, what's up, man?
Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Rivers, what is your favorite thing about your mom?
I don't know.
He's like,
You gotta say one thing.
You like to wrestle?
Yeah.
You like it when we wrestle on the trampoline?
Who wins? You or your
Who
mom?
wins?
My mom.
Oh, wow. Okay, respect.
We're a competitive family, guys.
Yeah.
I
I was gonna say you both win, but
It's amazing. Maddie, our nanny's coming and she's like, okay, can you tell him bye? Say thanks, Dadville.
Hey, keep it real.
can you say like and subscribe?
Oh my God.
Say like.
No.
Say like. He said no.
No, he's like, I don't know this podcast, man.
He won't be co-opted.
He's like, I'm not going to
say like and subscribe. No. I love you.
He's like, you
Thank
can have
you.
that.
Okay, I'll go back to work.
Oh my gosh.
John, what are you? Hey, are you okay? And I'm not. It's gonna sound bad. I don't mean it bad, but you look like a zombie, a handsome zombie. But you look kind of like a
Thank you,
zombie right
dude.
now.
It's the girls. They
no.
cannot sleep, and therefore I cannot sleep.
Yeah,
because they're up all hours of the night.
Yep.
Just when I think I've finally like rocked them and sung them back to sleep, and I'm talking about all 3 of my girls, wife included. I take one step. It's always the creakiest part of the floor.
Yes.
And then boom, back to square one. I mean, if I had a flight right now, I think they would charge me extra for the bags that I have under my eyes.
You do need to get yourself a hat rest. Okay, that's what you need to do. It works wonders for my kids, and now there's a 2nd generation rest. I wake up refreshed, and it's the greatest feeling.
Oh man, Dave, you know what? I'm glad you brought this up because right now it feels like our bedtime routine is a blanket battle.
Oh,
okay, possibly even a snooze stalemate.
I see
I'm
what you're
going
doing
alliterations
there.
all day. That's what I do when I'm
Alliteration
tired.
in here.
Tell me about the hatch rest before I fall asleep right here at this desk.
Don't do it. Okay, well, I'll make it quick. The new and improved 2nd generation hatch rest make sleep better and more magical for your whole family, John. The all-in-one Hatch Rest is a smart sleep device with a sound machine and nightlight that grows with your kids.
Oh, I bet babies love the continuous sound of the white noise and the lullabies that it comes with.
Okay.
It's soothing and comfortable sleep environment that it creates.
And, I can tell you they do. One, because I have the IQ and interest of an infant, but also because I've interviewed many infants. It doesn't end there, though,
Are you
John,
still doing that show?
Yeah, it does.
An instant with an infant?
That's right, instant infants. Toddlers and big kids, John, both of those. Okay, toddlers and big kids build sleep independence with color and sound cues. Have you, John, built sleep independence yet? Can you say that confidently?
Well, last week, finally.
Okay.
I finally hit it. It took me longer than it takes most people, but yes. Yeah, I've achieved sleep independence as of Tuesday afternoon.
Everybody was asking me that. Well, you'll be happy to know that the time for bed pairing alerts them that it's time to wind down for the night. And in the morning, a time to rise signal lets them know when it's okay to get out of bed for the day, keeping those early risers, guess what?
In bed.
In bed longer. That's right.
Please. All right. The Rest has helped over 3 million babies and parents get restful sleep. It's no wonder that it's consistently a top baby registry item. Are you registering right now?
Yeah,
Get
sorry,
this one on your registry.
I was.
Okay. In fact, if you don't put the Hatch Rest on your baby registry, you're basically admitting to the world that you enjoy how your face looks when it's heavy, puffy bags under your eyes.
Don't do
you know
that.
What I mean?
Listen, right now, Hatch is offering our listeners up to 15% off your purchase of a Hatch Rest and get free shipping at hatch.co/dadville.
If you're ready to improve sleep for your kids and yourself, go to hatch.co/dadville to get up to 15% off and free shipping.
Well, so they're hungry, but I'm like, I have no idea what to feed children. So I figured I'd just give them kind of just the biggest variety I can. And that way they'll eventually get all the vitamins and minerals they need. Sort of if you just do as much as you can, the math somehow adds up.
Sure. Okay. So what'd you give them?
Honestly, I don't know, man. Like processed meats, cheese curds, apple fritters, little pieces of cardboard. There was maybe some mulch at some point, stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's like a great menu for getting your kids all the vitamins and minerals
Kind of hurts.
they need. Have you thought about children's vitamins?
You know, I'm glad you asked, because I've been meaning to share with you an idea I had about creating the perfect children's vitamin. First, I would load it up with sugar so that kids would love the taste. Okay. Then two, I would make the shape of the vitamins in the form of my favorite cartoon character, so they know, they can know who to trust. They see it. It's a trigger.
David. I mean, have you thought about providing your kids with a chewable vitamin that's not just candy in disguise, but a pediatrician-approved, super-powered, chewable vitamin made with zero sugar, zero gummy junk, yet tastes great and is perfect for picky eaters? Have you thought about that?
John, here's the thing. I want to believe you. When you say that, it pings the bottom of my soul. But I don't. Yeah. There's no way it's a thing.
It is a thing, Dave.
What?
Let me tell you about it. It's Haya. Haya was created to fill in the most common gaps in modern children's diets to provide the full body nourishment our kids need with a yummy taste they love.
John, I have a question.
Okay.
Was Haya formulated with the help of nutritional experts, or did they just wing it?
I'll tell you right now, Dave.
Okay.
Experts were involved. Tons of experts.
I have another question, John.
Okay.
When you start this conversation, all I have is question. Is Haya processed and pressed with a blend of maybe 2 or 3 organic fruits and veggies, or?
Dave?
Yeah.
Try 12.
No.
Yeah.
No.
10, 11, 12 organic fruits and vegetables, Dave. Then Haya is supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals, including some of your favorites, Dave. I know you love these. Vitamin D for Dave.
Do that B12.
B12.
Yes.
Vitamin C, zinc,
If you say folate.
Yep, you knew I was going there. And many others to help support immunity, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth, bones,
and more. Yeah, that's the folate.
Yep.
But here's the thing. My kids have, and I'm not kidding, right now you can hear my voice, every single allergy. No,
you don't have to worry, David.
What?
Okay, Haya is non-GMO, vegan, dairy-free, allergy-free, gelatin-free, nut-free, and everything else you can possibly imagine.
I can imagine a lot, but I feel like you tell me it's still not. Okay, I don't want to be wasting plastic, though, John. Here's another thing. With a new bottle mailed to me every month.
I hear you.
I don't want that.
Let me tell you this.
Okay.
Haya understands you. Haya hears you.
Okay.
That's why they send you this cool bottle. My kids love this. They've got stickers in there for your kids to decorate. and then they can send you eco-friendly refills every month. My kids love decorating this bottle almost as much as they love the taste of Hiya chewable vitamins.
Ow, stop twisting my arm, John. Okay, sign me up. Hiya Children's Vitamins are sent straight to my door. So that's one thing I don't have to worry about. When I wake up in the morning, I'm not going to go, okay, am I going to have money to pay for my kids?
Exactly.
Where are we eating today? And then where are the vitamins coming?
You don't have to worry about that.
They've worked out a special deal with us here at Dadville for their best-selling children's vitamin. Buckle up, folks. Receive 50% off your first order to claim this deal.
50? That's insane.
John. They're out of control. They love numbers. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/Dadville. This deal is not available on the regular website.
So go to hiyahealth.com/Dadville and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
That is that kid. He's like, no, unplug the headphones.
He's like, I'm out, Mom. One, you're not going to tell me what to do. I don't know these guys or their podcast.
He did work with me today, and we wrote a rap about red light, yellow light, and green light because he was yelling at me for not going. He's like, Mom, go. And I was like, it's a red light, man. I can't. Like, I'm going to get a ticket. So
you write a rap about
collaborative
it.
At times. Yeah, we wrote a rap about it. To kind of the rhythm of like, my money don't jiggle, jiggle.
Oh, Xana was singing that this morning, and Ben was last night. That song is somewhere everywhere.
That's always going in our house.
Yeah.
I did want to say one last thing about you and your dad, and it's fascinating to me, particularly because I had a similar situation with my dad. He's not a record producer, but his job took him away like Monday through Friday for years, and
wow.
I remember talking with Al Andrews one time, and he said, like, at some point, because I kind of felt like you with your dad. I'm like, I felt like I understood. It's like, yeah, Dad's got to work. I get it. When he's at home, he's like the best dad in the world. There's no problem here. And Al sort of pushed back on that a little bit. He's like, at some point, you as a 6-year-old kid decided, like, subconsciously to protect yourself. And I think it's really fascinating how I think that's true. And I think like there's some part of you that was like consciously you're like, no, I'm good. Everything is great. But there's some part of you that's like, but I'm not going to do that because that costs you a lot. And, obviously you're not consciously thinking this as you're a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid, but looking back, you're like, this was all happening in your little heart and your little mind. It's just really fascinating.
It is wild. It really is. And I remember when the counselor that like broke me, I was actually Drew's counselor. I went in because Drew was changing so much. He was becoming, this sounds terrible, but like really tender. Like he was reading Chip Dodd, Voices of the Heart. Mm-hmm. And so he would be angry. He's an 8. So he would be like frustrated about something and just like, and we'd end up talking through. It's great because I avoid conflict at all costs, and I really couldn't avoid it with him because he was like, no, we're doing this, which that served us well, I think. But all of a sudden, instead of being angry, he was like, I just feel really lonely and sad. And I was like, no, you don't.
What a great response.
I'm like, you don't feel those things, and he's like, wow, that makes me feel even more alone and sad. And I was like, oh gosh, I got to learn how to like be married to you because you are different. This is amazing. So I went into his counselor and I was pregnant with Rivers, the little guy you just saw. And he was just pressing on that same thing, John. And he was like, I'm really sorry that your dad wasn't around and that you didn't feel loved by him. And I was like, no, I knew he loved me. I'm good. It's fine. What's crazy? It was like such a great childhood. And so he told me like he was sorry. I was like, I mean, it was hard. I missed him but it's okay. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just kept pushing it. And he was like, hey, I've told you that I'm sorry about something really sad in your life 3 different times, and you keep laughing. And he was like,
Wow.
why do you keep laughing at something so sad? And y'all, I was just like, because if I don't laugh, I'm gonna shut up.
Oh my gosh, Ellie.
It's just crazy what's in there that we don't acknowledge, and we stuff it so far down. It's like it doesn't exist.
Right.
But it's all in there.
And Dad had even already like come around and been like, I am so like, I'm like, we're good. He's acknowledged this.
Yeah.
But I had not grieved it. And so, and it was coming out sideways with my kids. Like Drew, anyway, do you know what I'm saying? Like I was starting to notice if the kids were like, Dad, y'all know this, and all of a sudden I'll be like, Drew, they're talking to you. And he's like, are you serious? Like the moments like that where it's like they could do that with me all the time. And I'm like, oh, hold on. It's fine. I'm going to get to you. Yeah. So it's been like probably one of the hardest journeys that I've taken in revisiting some of that pain. And that's even with a dad who was like saying I'm sorry and who I knew, loved me.
Yeah.
There's still pain there. And it's been one of the hardest journeys, but honestly, I think it has expanded. It has expanded my soul and my heart and every relationship that I have on the planet with my dad, with my husband, with my kids, and with my music. I mean, I think when we're able to go kind of touch and breathe and let ourselves grieve, there is an expansion that happens. And for me, like a growing understanding of the presence of God and of His love, because it's like water; it always goes to the lowest place, And so I'm like, oh, so scared to go here because I didn't think I would go in a pit and never come out. And it's like, no, love is here too, and light comes here too. And actually, it's brighter even down here because it's so low.
Well, and you said I wanted to talk about you and Drew for a second. You said this so well. Just a second about Drew, a second ago about Drew with, him sort of figuring himself out. And I laugh all the time because I think God's like great bait and switch for holiness in our lives is marriage, right? Because it's like we marry these people at this time in our lives where you kind of know what you're getting. And that's why you marry them. Because Drew is one way and you are one way. And I always laugh and it feels like these things, we've okayed that because he gives you the space to be who you want to be. And you give him the space to be who he wants to be. And you say you do, and you marry each other. But you're actually marrying the most undeveloped version of yourself. And so what gets hard about marriage is when it actually gets healthy. Because as God it makes us more and more holy, and He sanctifies us, we actually don't keep being those. We stop being those people, and we turn into these better versions of ourselves, but different versions of ourselves. And so I think the marriages that I have so much admiration for, and I'm so fascinated by, are the ones where like every year and a half, they do these re-ups where it's not even that it's ever said, but it's just like, okay, like when Drew comes to you and he goes like, hey, I'm really sad. And you're like, well, so here's a fun thing. I didn't marry you because you're sad. I married you because you're strong. And so when you're sad, I don't know what to do. And that makes me feel uncomfortable. Right. And so, you have
or like when you're sad, this is what we do. And, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, it's like when you do this for years, we have done this. And then at some point, Drew's like, you got to let me change on this.
Yeah. And so I think the good thing, I love hearing that, what you said about Drew and you both, that, that is me. That's where God is like, gotcha. Because He's like, you signed up for this. You legally agreed to do this. And barring really trying to get hard out of it, you got to keep doing this. But it's actually my plan for your life is to make you better. And obviously there's some marriages that are not that good and whatever. But I think most of the time, that's sort of the point, is that we have to, when Annie sits down and she goes, hey, like I have new needs. And I'm like, well, okay, so here's a funny thing. I'm really good at your old needs, and I know those really well, and I can serve those well. And she's like, well, that's like Annie 2.0. This is Annie 7.0. And I'm like, I don't know her, and I didn't agree to marry her, And so with y'all's marriage, because y'all are such dynamic people, and you both do the same thing, which is crazy, right?
Crazy.
What is that like? Like, what is that like to be? What is y'all's marriage like in that way?
Yeah, it has been. So like Drew is my best guy friend that I swore I'd never date. Another thing I swore I wouldn't do. Wouldn't marry a musician, wouldn't be a musician.
0
and people were like, every time Drew and I sang with Drew at his first show, I think, that he ever played. And anytime we would sing together, people would be like, so y'all are a thing. And I was like, no. It's not like that with us. And so I am so, he really is like my dearest friend. And we started as friends, and I'm so grateful for that. And it's been just a really beautiful, I remember when I quit his band, I remember sitting down a powerful conversation with Al Andrews. John, we've had several of those. But we sat down, and we were just saying, we had built this band together for 6 years, and we were like, we're thinking of getting off the road. Emmylou started walking. We were in a conversion band. So she was in a car seat for like 6 hours a day, and had been, I think, to 32 states and Canada twice by the time she was 1. And I was just like, I got to get her home. And this feels crazy to leave this thing, but I want to like write music and, just focus on being a mom. And Al was just like, started crying. And I was like, oh no, this is a bad idea.
Wait, I thought we were supposed to cry.
Did the wrong thing.
Listen, I'm not smart, but I do feel like when your therapist cries, things.
I was like, oh
really
no. But here's what had happened, y'all. I was on bed rest, and Drew was opening for Need to Breathe, and I got to see Drew play by himself for the first time since we've been married. Because anytime I was with him, I would go sing, even when I was teaching for the first 6 months of our marriage. And so he was going to invite me up, but I was watching. I do not want him to invite me up there. Like,
wow.
He is so amazing by himself, and it changes. It's something different when it's the two of us. Not that that's not good, but oh my gosh, he's so good by himself. So I had the conversation with him, really like crazy conversation in our marriage. I mean, Emmylou was almost 1 at this point, but I was like, do you ever like feel, I don't know, like limited when I'm up there? Because if you write a song about a girl, people assume it's my story. People assume it's me. And I had this thought when I was watching you play for Need to Breathe, like, you're so amazing by yourself. And do you ever, I don't know, wish that I wasn't a part of this? Because I'm kind of wishing maybe I was home a little bit more, and that feels crazy and scary. So what we're telling Al this story, and he's tearing up. And Drew is able to say really honestly, like, I guess sometimes, yeah, I mean, I do wonder. So our counselor's crying, and I was like, oh no, I shouldn't quit the band. This is a terrible idea. And he just said, he was like, y'all are doing something that sometimes takes like 50 years to happen in a marriage. And it's really hard. And it's, y'all are individuating. Like, you are each being your own person. Because I kept writing songs. I was trying to write songs for the band, and I kept writing songs about Jesus, like grounded in scripture. And Drew was like, you actually need to go do that. Like, you don't need to feel like you need to be in my band. You need to be who you are and let out what's coming out of you without trying to filter it or shape it to me. And I was like, and I just want to see you be who you are. And so it has been such a beautiful gift to have done it together, music together, and then to both just like bless and encourage each other to go be exactly who we are, which is, we're really different people. And we are, the way our faith plays out looks entirely differently. The way we write is entirely different. The way we interact with strangers is different. I mean, we're really different artists, and it has been one of our great joys is to celebrate each other's differences.
That's so great.
And to cheer each other on, and then to get to come together some and do the thing that we do together. Now, again, we took a 5-year break of touring or making music together, and then really missed that and started doing that again. And so it has just been an absolute joy. And so I think there is a deep understanding for the cost that music is for each other. So like when I'm out on the road, I know that when you tour, it's not just, I know that there's like, that takes something out of you, and you come home, maybe not with 100% of your tank full. And in the same breath, Drew knows what it is to be a solo parent at home when the other parent is on the road. And so there's this like beautiful understanding and push and pull that I feel so deeply grateful for.
Oh,
Dave, you okay?
Yes. Listen, I'm so sorry I'm late.
Yeah, where were you?
I was passing out flyers around Nashville, everywhere.
For what?
I'm trying to get every tennis court in America converted to a state-of-the-art pickleball. Well, let me tell you, it's called the pickleball when you have a lot of pickleball. It's a
multiple
tournament.
pickleball
Yes.
courts are a
I mean,
pickleball.
who even plays tennis anymore, John? Do you know what I mean? Like, who does?
I mean, some people do. I've heard it's a great way to stay in shape.
Anyway, so what I missed, I feel like I'm getting here a little late.
It's no big deal. I just started an online business that's going to change the way you feel about calculator watches.
Every year, John, for my birthday, I've said, will you give me that? And it sounds like this year you're giving it to me. Okay. Continue. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's a foregone conclusion that calculator watches are on the way back.
1,000%.
Right?
1,000%.
So I made some, and I need a way to sell them.
What was that sound?
That, Dave, was the sound of Shopify.
Oh, get out of
now,
here.
let's talk about the commerce platform that is revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide.
Okay.
Dave, I've been using Shopify for years. How many years? I don't even know. Like 15, 16, 17 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it makes selling things online easy. Even my cutting-edge calculator watches can be sold.
Question. Is it true that Shopify covers every sales channel from an in-person point-of-sale system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform?
You've heard that,
and even lets you sell across social media marketplaces like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram?
Let me tell you, Dave, it is true. The rumors are true. Plus, Shopify is also packed with industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth. Just light it up.
Go. Yeah.
It gives you complete control over your business and your brand without having to learn any new skills or design or code. I'm not going to learn that stuff.
John,
I don't have to with Shopify.
John, say this to me. Say, what's incredible about Shopify?
Everything.
Well, no, ask me that.
Oh, hey, what's incredible about Shopify?
What's incredible to me about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify is there to empower you with the confidence and control, the 2 C's, to take your business to the next level.
All right. Now, people, it's your turn to get serious about selling and try Shopify today. Don't do the calculator watches because that's kind of my thing. Sign up for a $1 a month trial period. That's $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/dadville, all lowercase.
Go to shopify.com/dadville to take your business to the next level today.
Shopify.com/dadville. This is possibility powered by Shopify.
So you got to bring the free safety down to cover the tight end if they go trips to the wide side of the field, John.
No, I don't. I'm going to bump the mic over and play cover 1.
And empty? What about the quarterback draw? You only got 4 in the box if you spill the mic.
Yeah, but he's not a run threat. And I'm going to play a 2 deep with the safeties at 12 yards, staring right into the backfield.
What if they motion the back into the gun for an RPO?
Well, then Will goes with him, and the one tech shoots the gap. Now, I may roll the safeties to the strong side at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I see what you're saying.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, we're recording. John, let's get some coffee, okay? Let's get some
What'd you say? Coffee?
Yeah, I did.
Listen to this, Dave.
Tell me. Good gracious.
You know what that is?
Tell me.
That's today's episode sponsor. Let's say it together.
Methodical Coffee.
Man, we nailed that. We nailed it.
Yeah, John, I'm not even sure people need to hear this again because they've heard it so much in our deep love for Methodical.
Tell 'em.
But I'm going to remind them. Methodical roasts their coffees to best express the life it lived, the place, the weather, the soil, and to honor the skilled people who cultivated it.
That's exactly right. And Methodical isn't just the name of their business, it's their approach.
Oh,
It's
I
their
like that.
approach to everything.
Yeah,
David.
I know.
Methodical has been roasting and hosting
Oh.
over 8 years
I see
and
what you did
offers
there.
a wide selection of coffees and teas that are, complex yet easygoing, just like my good friend Dave Barnes.
I don't know if you remember this. We have a signature Dadville. Did you know
How
that?
could I forget,
a
David?
blend there, yeah.
It's the fuel that gets me going every morning, filled with hints of chocolate and graham and brown sugar, just like my friend Dave Barnes.
Listen, I was born like this, okay? You should also check out the Costa Rican and Brazilian coffees that make up the belly warmer.
Dave, do I look like someone who hasn't checked out the Costa Rican and Brazilian coffees that make up the belly warmer?
Touche, old friend. Touche. Methodical Coffee offers a wide variety of flavor profiles that range from classics that are bold and chocolatey to contemporary that are medium-bodied and fruity, all the way to avant-garde.
All three of those remind me of my good friend Dave Barnes. And I think I heard that Gear Patrol voted Methodical Coffee one of the best roasters in America,
You
Dave.
heard correctly, John. Visit methodicalcoffee.com for more information and use the discount code DADVILLE for 10% off your first order.
That's methodicalcoffee.com and use the discount code DADVILLE.
What it makes me feel, it's like all your fans should be grateful for the families that the two of you came from, because there's so many ways that this could have gone south. I mean, if the two of you weren't so benevolent and sort of like self-assured in who you were as two people in this marriage, especially at a time when, you had been married for maybe 6 years at that time, which is not, that's pushing still kind of newlywed status. You could have been, frustrated that, well, why doesn't Drew want to have this scripture-based music and what does that say about his faith? And that could be a point of contention. There could be so much, if there was just a little bit more insecurity on either side, it could have gone south so quickly. You know what I mean? In a sort of understandable way. It's a testament to the families that you guys came from, that you were able to navigate.
I love that. I could not. Thank you for saying that. I don't know.
I
that I've
texted
ever
it to
really
him right when.
Dave, did I say that right?
Thank you.
Yeah, right. You left out a couple. Sorry, Ellie, go ahead. That doesn't matter, but just for the record.
Well, and you had some of your lyrics in
Just for the
there,
record.
and I just felt like it didn't fit.
That is true. Grace's amazing hands, they hold me.
They held you.
You did forget
They
that.
held you.
They held you. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, they got me. Sorry,
my
Ellie,
God,
keep going.
that's so
Keep going.
But it is true. I really think that's true, John. And there has been such freedom, in the honesty that both of our parents are married and with like pretty vibrant marriages on both sides, and very honest about the things that have been hard and when things are off. And so there's been, I don't know, like a veil that got removed. So we had the capability of seeing people struggle and move through hard things. And I'm so grateful for that. And then also that assurance of who you are. And I mean, I went to counseling the first time because I had this thought. And then this is a crazy thing too. And I'm like, I had good reason to want to avoid music, like, because it's hard. I had this thought, and this is what sent me to counseling. And I'm so grateful I told Drew, but we had our first sold out show in Knoxville at the Square Room. Y'all remember that? Yeah. My brother ran that little room in Knoxville. And I walked out to check on the merch people, and I heard all these people being like, talking about me. Oh, look what I love her dress. Look what she's wearing, or whatever. Like, and we walked out on stage. And everybody, and I went backstage, and Drew wasn't like, "Hey, babe, you look cute," or whatever. I don't know. We were pre-show, and I was kind of hurt that he didn't say anything, that he didn't give me a compliment. And I walked out on stage, and everybody's like cheering for us. And I had this thought, and I knew it was the beginning of a divorce if I didn't like, I was like, this is the end of a marriage if I let this like play out. Because the thought was, all of these people think that I am amazing. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's bad. Because that's not, they don't know me, right? Like, so this is, anyway, that's not real.
Right.
That's not like, they don't know me like you know me. And I was like, Drew, I had this thought and it scared me. And he's like, yeah, you need to go see a counselor. Like, and I'm so grateful. Like, but I'm so grateful for that. Because you put your marriage on a stage and it becomes a performance.
Yeah.
And it's like,
tricky.
that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I feel really grateful. For like the confidence to be built in, like, hey, that's not real.
Yeah.
And I think my mom and dad talked to me about that growing up. They're like, hey, this is one thing and it's important and it matters on the stage, but there's another at home. And that needs tending to as well.
Yeah.
So okay, so as we told, as you know, this is the Momville month for Dadville, which we're super excited that you're on. And Amy is one of the other moms that's on Grant. So your perfect trifecta is all happening.
I love
it's
her.
full circle. I have a question for you. What is your favorite thing about being a mom right now, and what is the hardest thing about being a mom right now for y'all? I guess you.
Great question.
You have 3 kids. What are the ages of your kids right now?
We've got Emmylou, Huck, and Rivers, 10, 7, and 4.
Yeah. Okay.
And the 4-year-old. I always say about our third, when people ask me how many kids I have, I want to say like 5. Because our third, the one who came up here and unplugged my headphones, sometimes he feels like 3 total children in one. He is busy and amazing. We call him like the joy tornado. But he... my favorite thing about being a mom right now is probably, I think getting to see the world again through their eyes. Like we're big, we love reading in our family. And so we're like reading all these Chronicles of Narnia and Wrinkle in Time and the Wing Feather Saga, Harry Potter. It is like full on imagination. And then we're in the garden and they're just like discovering everything. I think Brandi Carlile in The Mother in that song, she says, I get to see the ages through your eyes again. And that is probably the wonder of that is just, I'm so grateful. It's immensely grounding and it sort of begets a boatload of gratitude in me a lot of times. And so I think that is my favorite thing. And maybe the hardest thing about being a mom right now is understanding that I can't change my kids' hearts. Like I can't change them. And so, and I think having to walk with them through their own little heartaches, we're doing that for the first time. And it's like, you don't want your kids to hurt at all. You just want to protect them from everything. But you know that as a human on a broken planet, like they're going to break, they're going to hurt. And so learning how to sit with them and when they're hurting. And I mean, we've just been through a super tender season in Nashville and, having to sit with them when they're afraid and when they're sad and seeing their friends who are sad for very heavy, right reasons. Like they're seeing a broken world in ways. And that is hard. As a 7, it's really hard. But I know that that sitting with them in that and then turning to Jesus with them, like alongside with them in that, that there is power in that. We were reading A Wrinkle in Time the day, I'm snuggling them in bed, just like holding on tight to them reading, just so grateful to be with them in the wake of the Covenant shooting. And we were reading this scene from A Wrinkle in Time where they talk about how a darkness is over the earth and these kids have been pulled out of it. And they're like, yeah. And they're like, well, why are you bringing us kids out of here? Like, what are we supposed to do about this? Is this, we're supposed to address that huge darkness that's over our whole planet. And they're like, well, you'd be surprised. Your planet's very small, but a lot of people from your planet have done very well. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, well, think of somebody who has lived in a way that has proven that the light is stronger than the darkness. And Charles Wallace, this little kid in the book, goes, oh, Jesus. And they were like, that's right, Charles Wallace. And then they said, but also all the artists, Beethoven, Shakespeare, Rembrandt, they're all bearing witness to the fact that the light is stronger than the darkness. And so I'm like reading this, just like, oh. And talking to them about how we can hold on to the light, how we can look for the light. And so they've been helping me see the light in a really dark season. And I'm grateful to get to do that together, but that's hard.
Yeah. I feel like I have in the last probably year, I think I would say that's the hardest thing for me is you just can't control. I mean, I know I can't control my kids in that sort of like day-to-day tangible way of like, I can't make them put their shoes in the shoe basket that's right by the front door.
Ooh,
but like,
seems easy.
Yeah. But the little things of like, I can't, you're handling this situation way different than I did when I was your age. And that I can't control who you are. You feel differently about this scenario or whatever. That those situations to me I feel so, out of control, I suppose.
Yeah.
So you have 3 kids, and I'm curious if you had one kid, I don't know that I would ask this question, because anyone who has one kid, we all feel like we can write the book after we have one kid.
Oh, man.
And then you have 2 and you're like, oh, maybe I don't know. And then you have 3. What advice do you have for moms out there?
Well, this is kind of to that feeling of helplessness when you can't control your kids' responses. As much as you want to shepherd them and point them along the way. But I think this connects to the advice that I would give. And this has just been the only way that I know how to respond when I'm like, oh, I really want you to be kinder to your brother. And I was not kind to my brother when I was younger, and I felt competitive with him. And I wish that I could go back and do that differently. And I can't make your heart do that differently. But I think for me, there is a book called, I'm looking for it to see if it's on there's different seasons. Does this happen to y'all where the parenting books come out on the bedside table?
Oh, yeah.
Woo, Lord, I need some help. Help me. And you're like flipping through. But I think loving your kids on purpose is, and I'm trying to remember the name, Danny Silk is his name. It's there on my bedside table, just if you're wondering how I'm doing. Currently out. But I love this. And I would say that if I can do this at the end of the day, it's a win. But to kind of name what your main goal is for parenting. Is it to get them to obey? Is it to get them to perform well and behave well? And he makes a very strong argument. And that's sort of what, when they're little, you're like teaching them how to do everything right and follow the rules and be kind and say please and thank you. But I think more than anything, and he points to this over and over again, is what I want is to be connected to my kids' hearts. And so I think if there can be, even in the anger and the outbursts and the sadness and the selfishness and all of that, if there is a way for me to take some deep breaths and to hear where their heart is, and to point their heart to the one who loves them and knows them best and who can change their hearts, is a gift. And so in the moments that feel like you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do. I don't know how to do this. For moms out there, dads don't know about this, but like someone told me a long time ago to view those as contractions. Like, it's like, okay, everyone is crying. This is terrible. I just lost my temper. And this is a contraction. This is a moment where it's like, whoo, but this is going to pass. And so if I can breathe through this and then reconnect with their hearts and let them connect with my heart, and we are winning the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's been so beautiful. So like to kind of acknowledge like, oh man, I can see that you were really sad and really angry. Let's talk about that. Like, what's going on with your heart? Like, why do you feel like you need to win in this argument with your brother? Like, how would that make you feel if he was acting like that to you? You know, just like to slow down and breathe and talk. And that has been such a beautiful thing. And, you know, my 10-year-old daughter is starting to head into those like, you know, just like the big feelings years. And it's been so beautiful just this week. We've had a couple of moments where it's like, you know, it gets really big. And I'm like, hey, why don't you go take some space? And I'm going to take some space too. And we come around and we're like, oh, sorry for that. I lost my patience.
Wow.
Please forgive me. And tell me what's going on with you. How was your school days? There's something else going on that made that small thing a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's been so beautiful, y'all. It has been so beautiful because I think a lot of times, like what we all want, and this is like what we were saying earlier with our parents, with even the estranged relationships that we have, we long for connection. We long for connection. We long to be known and to be seen. And so I think if we can see our kids, even in their big emotions, like calm down and then like connect, that would be my number one piece of advice. And breathing. Breathing is really good. We're doing a lot of that.
Unquote.
Breathing's a real thing. Don't let the simplicity of it ruin it for you. It's a real thing.
No, but it's a superpower.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my buddy who was earlier. I'm like, that's your superpower, buddy. Like, that's where your power's like. And you find out, like, breathing, like, when you breathe, like Yahweh in the burning bush, when God is speaking to Moses and he says Yahweh, that Hebrew version of Yahweh, I read this in a Jason Gray article that he wrote. But when you say Yahweh in Hebrew, it sounds like a breath. And so it's almost as if when we are just taking a deep breath, we're saying the name, we're calling on the name of God. And then like scientifically, it also like actually takes everything from fight or flight amygdala to like logic and reason. Like there's a ton of scientific like reasons that we should breathe, but it has been probably our number one, like, hey, before we keep having this conversation, like everybody's going to take 3 deep breaths. And so it's been so beautiful to watch my 4-year-old who can go off. Like, I mean, we call it Hulk mode, you know, like he's like, and we're like, okay, buddy, let's do your superpower moves. And he's like, you know, just like sounds like a jet engine cooling off for him sometimes, but it is kind of bringing it down. And so to where we're able to connect and not just like anger through power.
Power thing. Well, Ellie, thank you for your time. We this has been really fun. I'm going to think about a couple of things that you said even after this and giggle at a couple too. One, so we always ask 2 questions before we go. And these are kind of cheap shots. So you're going to be like, oh, thanks for not warning me. But I'll ask the first and I'll let John ask second. But what is the one thing that you want your kids to know?
That they are unconditionally loved by the God who made them and by their dad and I.
Look at you. You were ready. All right. Respect.
Okay.
I ask them every night. I'm like, who are you? I want them to know who they are and whose they are. So it's beloved child of God.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that.
That's sweet. Last question.
Yeah.
What do you want your kids to say at your funeral?
Oh. I think I would want them to say that my mom was present, that she showed up in the lows and the highs, and maybe also that she was somebody who let joy drive. That's a core value of mine.
Yeah. Well, you can tell.
Yeah, I was going to say. That is great. Ellie, thank you a million.
Yes, Ellie, thank you.
Times
this has been great.
Oh, man. Y'all, I'm so grateful for you. Thanks for having me. Can I say one more thing?
Say as much as you want.
Please.
It's just what I wish that this happened to me very early on when I was, like pumping in an RV, trying to feed my daughter and figure out how to be a touring musician on the road. And I was very low. She was 2 months and I was not okay. I was like, I cannot do this. I can't have my daughter in a car seat all the time. I can't be a mom and a musician. I don't know how to do this. And I think this is probably one thing. This would go to your other question too, of like, what's the one thing you would tell moms? And this is what I felt like God said. I was just not in a good place. And I was like, I need to hear from you. I looked on my Jesus Calling app, I was like, the verse of the day is going to speak to me. And it just like didn't at all. I was like, oh no, Jesus Calling didn't work. What are you going to do, God? And I felt like I heard God say, I know that I've given your daughter to you, Emmylou, to you, to raise up in the way that she should go. And I know I've given you that responsibility. But before she is yours, she is mine. And I am going to take such good care of her. And then I know I've given you the job of being Emmylou's mom. But before you're her mom, you are my daughter. And I am going to take such good care of you. And so this sense of knowing that like we are all beloved sons and daughters of God, and that his heart is to connect with us. And in our temper tantrum, like losing our patience, losing our minds moments. And when we are like feeling like we are on our A game on top of the mountain, like we are firing on all cylinders, his heart is to connect with us and to know us and for us to know that we are known and loved. And so know that as a mama, you're first a daughter and you're loved. That would be what I would want to say to all the mamas out there.
Preach. Good gracious.
Preaching.
I needed to hear that myself. Ellie, you're the best. We love you. Thank you so much.
Y'all are awesome. Love y'all.
Thank you so
Thanks so much.